Hello, welcome back to another video. In this video, we are going to be taking a look at the A-Level English Language Paper 4, October-November 2020, Variant 4.3. And for this video, I will be focusing on our question number 2. Okay, number 2, which is English as a global language. All right, so stay on the lookout for other videos because I will be addressing the other questions in other videos. Okay, so let's begin with our question number 2. It says the passage below is from a 2015 article which was published on a website called The Conversation. Discuss what you feel are the most important issues raised here relating to the changing use of English as a global language. You should refer to specific details from the passage as well as to ideas and examples from your wider study. Okay, so here I underline the important things that we need to keep in mind, which are the issues raised relating to changing use of English. Okay, and then also another important thing to know is that the markers are asking us to refer to details from the passage itself, but we can also use examples from our wider study or general knowledge. Okay, so let's begin with the text. What will English language be like in 100 years? Okay, so right there, just with the title, we know that the issues raised are going to be about the change of the English language, and specifically we're looking at the span of 100 years from now. Okay, in the use of English around the globe, especially in countries where it functions as a second language, new interlanguages are emerging in which features of English are mingled with those of other native tongues and their pronunciations. Okay, so right here, a change that I believe has been happening for many decades now, if not centuries, is that we see this with countries that were colonized by English speaking countries. There's interlanguages which are like smaller dialects, or in some countries we call it pidgin, right? Pidgin language, which are basically broken. It's broken English. So there are many people around the world who speak English in a tweaked version. So the pronunciation of certain words might be different, and the spelling of them too. Okay, so that's one change of how English has been evolving. And people kind of transform it and they mix it with other stuff. Okay, so that's one issue that's raised. The new interlanguages are emerging right here. Okay, moving forward. Meanwhile, the development of automatic translation software such as Google Translate will come to replace English as the preferred means of communication employed in the boardrooms of international corporations and government agencies. Okay, so this right here is quite important and it is quite fairly recent, okay, in comparison to the interlanguages. Here we see that there are new translation softwares that exist, right? So now people don't really feel the need to actually learn new languages, whether it be for business or doing business with internationally, right? Or even studying stuff, because we have these softwares. So you can basically just, if you wanted, you could even take this whole text and pop it into Google Translate and get it in your native language, right? So that it's easier for you to understand or study any text that you want. So in here, when the author says that it would place English as preferred means of communication in boardrooms of international corporations. It means that, in these large corporations, if you're having a lunch or a meeting with somebody, an important person from a different country, you can use a translation software to discuss with them, right? I think that you can even find on the internet nowadays a small device that you can directly speak into the device in English or in any language that you want, and it will translate it to a complete different language than the one that you've spoken. Okay, so translation softwares are a big game changer. Okay, so the future for English is one of multiple Englishes. Okay, so multiple Englishes and not I guess, pure English, which I personally don't even know what pure English is, right? Moving forward, what is being lost? Okay, let's look at this subheading. In the 20th century, it was feared that English dialects were dying out with their speakers. Okay, so in the 20th century, people were scared that certain English dialects, so little versions of English, were dying out with the people who spoke them. So when these people die, no one's going to speak the language anymore. Okay? But while numerous dialect words were collected in studies for a young person in cheap, trendy clothes and jewelry, the word shav was found throughout England, demonstrating how features of the estuary English, hope I'm pronouncing this right, spoken in the Greater London area are displacing local dialects. Okay, so here this is a pretty long sentence, especially among younger generations. So I think I'm just going to take a bit of time to explain this, okay? So this is a very long sentence. So here we're being told that numerous dialect words were collected. Okay, so there was a study going on and they wanted to know which dialect words refer to young person in cheap, trendy clothes and jewelry. Okay, so what we're looking for synonyms of this expression here in numerous dialect words. Okay, and they noticed that shav, this word shav, that means young person in cheap, trendy clothes and jewelry, was found throughout England. So everywhere, everywhere, a little bit everywhere in England. And they realized that this is demonstrating how features of an estuary English spoken in Greater London area. So this word originally was spoken in the Greater London area, but because they found it throughout England, right? They are like, oh, this English is displacing local dialects, so it's taking over, right? It's taking over England. All right. So remember at the beginning of the paragraph, they say that they're scared that certain dialects are going to die with the people that speak them. But then after they realize that no, like, the words that come from these dialects, like the word shav, are actually being carried around in the mouths of people all over England, all over England. So they're like, okay, maybe we're wrong, right? These things kind of spread, right? These dialects. Okay, so today we are witnessing a process of destandardization. Okay, again, destandardization and the emergence of competing norms of usage. Okay, so now it's there's destandardization, meaning that everything's getting mixed, right? So if you go to a certain area, it's not guaranteed that you're only going to hear this specific dialect and nothing else, right? There's a bit of a fusion of things, that there's like a fusion that's happening, okay? And the competing norms of usage, right? And if you think about it, right, because remember, we're supposed to discuss in regards of specific details from the passage, but also ideas of examples from our wider study. Okay, so think about us right now, right? You're hearing me speak, and there's a possibility that we don't come from the same city, from the same country, that we don't live in the same place. So maybe as we're like analyzing this text together in my natural way of speaking, maybe I'll say something that people in your part of the world don't say, right? But you hear me say it, so maybe uh, by watching a lot of these videos and just hearing me speak all the time, you might just randomly realize that one day you're going to use a word that I say, but that people in your area don't say, and then people are going to hear you say it, and then they're going to start saying it too. So because of the internet, right, and YouTube, having access to hearing a lot of different people speak, we're kind of spreading these expressions, and we're mixing a lot of stuff. If you know what I'm trying to say, is that there's no more borders. The borders have the internet kind of takes takes the borders away, especially in terms of language. We're exposed to a lot of like slang and different things from different societies. Okay, so what I'm saying right now definitely has to do with destandardization, okay, and the competing norms of usage. Okay, and then next paragraph kind of confirms. Well, it doesn't confirm, but it adds on to what I just said, my analogy. So in the online world, attitudes to consistency and correctness are considerably more relaxed. Variant spellings are accepted and punctuation marks omitted or repurposed to convey a range of attitudes. Okay, so again, the change in English language is through texting, or I don't know, if, WhatsApp or Facebook Messenger, or whatever you want. The way that we write, the way that you message a friend is completely different than the way you would write an essay, right? For your OA level exams. It's different. So in the online world, spellings are accepted, right? And punctuation, variant spellings are accepted, and punctuation marks are omitted. So we're less strict on grammar when we communicate with each other online. Okay, research has shown that in the electronic discourse, exclamation marks can carry a range of exclamatory functions, including apologizing, right? When you say, I'm sorry, and you put all caps, right? That's the tone. If you don't put if you don't put caps, so capital, sorry, I'm losing my words. Yeah, if you don't use caps, capital letters, right? There's a tone that goes with it, right? I'm sorry versus I'm sorry, I'm so sorry. You would write it in big letters, right? To really express how sorry you are. Okay. Challenging, right? If you tell your friends, I dare you to do that, right? If you put all capital letters, it's like, I really dare you. Like, I dare you, right? It's very pushy. Thanking, right? Thank you so much. You saved my life, right? In all capital letters. Agreeing, when you put exactly, or like, I know, and you put like a lot of W's at the end of your I know. Okay, showing showing solidarity. That's how you pronounce it. Yeah, showing solidarity. Okay, so there's a lot of here, a lot of exclamatory functions. Okay. And then here, capital letters are used to show anger, misspellings, convey humor, and establish group identity. And smiley faces or emoticons express a range of reactions. Okay. Forgive me, I realize I just made a mistake here when I was going on about my apologizing in capital letters, challenging in capital letters. We were actually meant to look at exclamatory functions. Okay, so we're looking at exclamation marks. So that's my mistake. It also applies to capital letters, right? Apologizing, challenging in capital letters, but this sentences actually expresses, that's completely my fault, sorry, my mistake. But this here is talking specifically about exclamation marks. So if you say I'm sorry with a period, it's different than if you say I'm sorry with like a million exclamation marks, right? To really stress how sorry you are. Thank you with a period or thank you with many exclamation marks. Challenging, same thing. Agreeing, right? Exclamation marks. Okay. So again, so sorry I didn't explain that one correctly, even though the logic still applies. And then here, capital letters, same thing. Okay, anger. Also misspellings. Here we're talking about misspellings conveying humor. So it means if I'm trying to think. I don't have a specific example for this one because I don't think that I've personally done it before. Okay, so I don't know, maybe you can tell me, but apparently misspellings can convey humor and establish group identity. So if you and your friends purposely spell a word the same, like the same way, okay, it's your thing, it's an inside joke. So it would be humor. And smiley faces or emoticons express a range of reactions. So here, we all use, I think most of us at least, most of us use emojis. So to express happiness, sadness, instead of words. Okay, let's move on to our next subheading, getting shorter. Okay, so here, let's kind of just do a little look retrospectively. Okay, so here we talked about, remember, interlanguages, right? So little dialects that are being formed from English. We have translation software, and then we went into what is being lost. What is being lost? We have a destandardization, right? Competing norms of usage. So the borders are being lost. Okay, and we talked about being exposed to different people speaking, different people's speaking ways, even though we're not like physically around those people because of the internet. And then we also talked about the change in grammar. Okay, so there's a change in grammar because of the online world. Okay, now we're going to look at getting shorter. So I'm assuming English is getting shorter. Some have questioned whether the increasing development and adoption of emoji pictograms, which allow speakers to communicate without the need for language, mean that we will cease to communicate in English at all, right? And then, of course, the author puts a winky face. So, again, an issue that's being raised here is, eventually, are we just going to speak by using emojis and we won't use like the English language anymore? I personally don't think so, but never say never, right? I guess time will tell. Okay, the fast changing world of social media is also responsible for the coining and spreading of neologisms. neologisms or new words. Okay, so neologisms, it means new words. Okay, recent updates to Oxford dictionaries give a flavor. Mansplaining, awesome sauce. Really? Bants? No idea what bants means. Let's actually take a look. Playfully teasing or mocking remarks. Ah, okay, so banter. Bants comes from banter. Ah, okay. All right, this one I didn't know. I knew banter, but I didn't know bants. All right, we have TL semicolon DR. Too long, didn't read. All right, so that's what TL semicolon DR means. Okay, so another issue is new words are emerging. Sorry, excuse me, there's the firefighters in the background. I think last video I mentioned that I live near a fire station, so unfortunately I can't escape these random sounds of sirens. Okay. Alright, I think it's done. Let's move forward. Clipped forms, acronyms, blends, and abbreviations have long been productive methods of word formation in English. Think of bus, smog, and scuba. But the huge increase in such coinages means that they will be far more prominent in English of 2115. Okay, so here, right, we have new words that are emerging, and a part of these new words, we have some coinages, right? And coinages are like these ones. So it's kind of it's a truncation of really, so abbreviation or acronyms, right? TLD, TLDR. So here, the next sentence, the author is letting us know, hey, like, you know, these kind of things, right? These abbreviations and these acronyms have actually always existed. So this is not something new from the 20th century or and then in the 21st century. This is actually something that's been happening like forever, I guess, right? When we take a look at bus, smog, scuba. But the problem is that we'll only have more of them, right? Because when do we actually say, okay, now we don't make new ones, right? They just keep coming. So it means that, like, imagine right now we're in 2021. So roughly 90, 100 years from now, right? How many abbreviations and acronyms will there actually be? Okay. And the last sentence is whether you like or hate such words, think that they are no big deal, or meh, they are undoubtedly here to stay. Okay, so I guess this is another issue. Let me just, I guess I would underline this. Here, what you can say regarding wider study is that, frankly, governments, high officials, they don't have any control over what the population does as far as language, right? Because a big part of language is culture. So eventually, right, for all these acronyms or all of these abbreviations, the more people use them, the more society will have to deal with it, the more the government are going to have to, to deal with it. If everyone decides that today, instead of writing like, I'll just put this emoji, then eventually you can fight it so much. And if people keep persisting, then you're going to just have to accept it. So here, it's whether you like it or hate it, or you think it's whatever or meh, they're here to stay. They will always exist, and unless they somehow just naturally are like transient or people stop using them just naturally, as long as there's a significant amount of people who who participate in these changes and fusion of English language. It's unstoppable. It's unstoppable. Okay. So that is it. Right. I think that we kind of went through everything. If you have for sure more ideas or more things that you think are important points, right, in the analysis of this text, please leave it in the comment section below. If there's anything that you would like me to clarify, please leave it in the comment section and I will address that. But other than that, that is it for this video. I thank you so much for taking the time to watch it. I hope that it was helpful. And as always, I hope that you have a beautiful day or a beautiful night, depending on where you are located in the world. And I will chat with you soon.